Thought I'd take a quick break from my usual DIY videos today to help out any of you who are wavering about whether to buy a robot vac. Today's video is all about the vacuum we bought on 30th of May. So I've not been paid anything to talk about it. And I simply want to tell you why we think it's one of the best things we ever bought for this kitchen. The background of this is we struggled to keep our kitchen floor clean. Somebody commented on how disgusting it looked in my last floor cleaning video in the old kitchen. I've just laid a new floor. There's a link to that video on screen now. And with dog hair blowing like tumbleweed, we started thinking about whether we should get a robot vacuum. But this is where it gets tricky. There are so many options out there, from models that just vacuum the floor that you have to empty each day to vacuums that have docking stations that the vacuum empties into. And also versions that mop. And as our tech guru Sam pointed out on the Discord forum recently, you can access through Patreon or buy me a coffee, link on screen now. If you get one that mops, be careful, it can lift its mop to do the tile to carpet transitions, which his DIYte X1 couldn't. Although technology is advancing so quickly, I suspect this won't be a problem for much longer, if indeed it still is. But with the flagship models that do mopping and vacuuming coming in at between £800 and £1,000, we didn't have the budget for this. And also I'd heard mixed reports about some models' ability to mop effectively. So we decided to just buy one that vacuumed and rely on George for the time being to do mopping. And during some near obsessive Googling, one model kept grabbing my attention, and that was the Eufy L60 at a much more reasonable £179. Or for another £100, you could get the SES self-emptying station with brush hair cutting functionality. We didn't want to have to empty each day, and so that's one we decided to go for. Also, the kitchen renovation isn't finished yet, and we've got some interesting and ever-changing obstacles to navigate. So it was important that we got the best possible navigation system for the price. And with robot vacuums using everything from cameras, lasers and infrared sensors to map and vacuum, in some cases in an entirely random pattern, the area to be cleaned, it's a confusing landscape. I decided I wanted laser mapping. The Eufy L60, like the Eurovac DIYte, uses LiDAR, which is light detection and ranging, to navigate, scan the room and accurately map and geometrically clean each room. And in fact, you can see it in real time remapping the boundaries, like for example here, where I've installed a door since the mapping was originally done. More on all that in a minute. There's a comprehensive user guide that holds your hand through the setup process. Not that you need much of that, as it's really just a case of removing the packaging, plugging it into charge and downloading the app, which itself has a host of reference materials, FAQs and tutorials, including this very slick quick start guide video. Whilst it's charging, it's a good idea to block off any areas you don't immediately want it to map, which in your case is probably just shutting doors, but in mine was a bit more rudimentary given the partial state of the renovations. Then off it goes to create a map of everywhere you want it to vacuum, being careful to give its own self-emptying station a good vacuum before it starts. And you end up with something like this. And if you're wondering what these bits are, this is where that LiDAR laser technology has seen other areas that it thinks it could potentially map, but which it can't get to. Now, if you've got a room like I had in here that you initially blocked off for whatever reason, in my case, because the floor wasn't primed and I was a bit worried about how it was going to get over the lip. Not an issue, as it turns out, as it can climb steps of up to 20mm. I've actually built this now, which has come unstuck. Got to glue that back down again. All is not lost. I did try initially to add a zone on the app, and when this didn't work, I contacted support via the chat function. They suggested I was going to have to delete the entire map and start again, and I thought I don't really want to do that because I was happy with the existing map and didn't want to have to start from scratch. So what I did is I just sent off the Eufy on a new job, and when it got to this doorway, it sensed there was a new zone that needed mapping, went in there, beautifully mapped it, and then added it to the main map, and I was then able to edit the room in the app and give it a new name. And in this screen down here, there's another important feature, the no-go zone. With a line or box, you can prohibit the vacuum from going into those areas that you blocked off earlier. Like here, where I don't want its rollers getting snarled up in the carpet, that'll be coming up when we rip up the floor. You simply drop the barrier or box, alter its size and save when you're happy. So that's enough to get you up and running. You then set a daily schedule or simply activate cleaning from the app or top of the machine. The robot vac leaves its self-empty station, gets its bearings, then automatically determines its cleaning route, cleaning the edges first and then following this amazing geometric cleaning path. Heading back to base every half hour as I've set it to empty and also cut the hair off the brushes.
Task finished. Heading home. Cutting rolling brush hair. Recharging.
So every morning from 7:45 AM for 43 minutes, our RoboVac dutifully vacuums dog hair, loose coir matting and everything else from our kitchen floor, leaving it looking like this, which is pretty blissful to come down to. And it's done this 177 times, covering an area of 7,867 square metres in 118 hours and 29 minutes. Friends have said their vacuum is a bit noisy. With the Eufy you've got 4 settings from quiet mode to standard, turbo and max. Whilst max is noticeably noisier, I tend to keep ours in boost, which has more than enough battery life for the 45-minute runtime and isn't noticeably louder than quiet mode. Although I may need to adjust this when we finally carpet the TV room. So let's have a quick chat about cleaning and maintenance. Again, the app in the accessory services section lists all the things that need maintaining and their remaining useful life. But I've established a pretty painless routine for keeping everything clean. I suspect I'm in the minority doing this, but every 2 to 3 days I'll remove the dustbin and give it a quick vac together with the filter housing and then the filter itself. The foam pad gets this treatment and I give the filter, which is washable, a good vac to remove the majority of the dust from it. This rather flimsy cover gets a wipe and then it all goes back together.
Dustbin has been reinstalled
And is as good as new. The roller brush gets the same treatment and the spindles are removable so you can remove any hair that the cutting tool hasn't already removed. You can see my rolling brush head got slightly damaged recently when it tried to eat a golf tee, so I've taken this opportunity to replace it. Probably not necessary, but it keeps everything in tip-top condition. The brush guard gets a clean. You're meant to replace this every 3 to 6 months when the rubber strip is obviously worn. 2 more things, the side brush, that cleans the edges and otherwise sweeps everything into the vacuum's path, needs an occasional deep clean like this. And whilst they don't talk about this in any of the cleaning videos, the little wheel is removable, and better still, I've literally just worked out you can take it out of its housing with a small screwdriver to get any stubborn hairs out. You've got a hair bin in the self-emptying station which takes any falling hair from during the cutting process, removes hair from the roller brush on each trip back to the dock. Another clever feature of this vacuum, which is pretty essential if you've got dogs that molt. And in all the months we've had this vac, I've never had any hair tangled around that brush head other than at the ends as I've just shown. And finally, the vacuum bag. Now, I've replaced this once already and the app was saying I needed to empty it again. It doesn't feel full, but possibly I didn't reset the app last time I changed it. Something to be aware of because I didn't even know you had to do this. But I thought I'd put a new bag in now, as I wanted to see what the vacuum was actually sucking up. As it's vacuuming so regularly, you forget how dirty a floor gets. And this is the result. Pretty interesting, and I suspect the coir matting gives it the most grief, as this matting, whilst it looks nice, is a pain to keep clean. All very impressive. Well, not quite. On its last sweep, it did leave a few bits of debris, so I thought I'd put a new filter in, again bought from Amazon. I'll be washing the old ones and using the manual controls in the app.
Start remote control.
I drove over the area just to make sure it was picking up properly, which of course it now was. So in conclusion, let's take it back to the original premise of this video. What is it about this vacuum that we love so much? Well, hopefully that sort of shone through in the course of the review, but basically the hardware is so well designed. The app is bulletproof, it hasn't skipped a beat once, and we've had nearly 8,000 square meters of vacuuming without a single complaint or the need for a cup of tea. But this technology is evolving so quickly, that's why partly I was keen to get this video out today, and in 6 months' time all of the stuff I'm talking about will probably be redundant, given the pace things are going in. And to that end, I would really love to know from any of you who've got vacuums with mopping functions, how you're getting on with them. Have you been able to find a mopping vacuum which does everything you want it to, but not at those sort of £800 plus prices? It'd be really great to hear from you in the comment section below, as it will continue to help people who are looking to make this sort of investment make the right decision. That's all for today. If you're new to my channel, it would mean so much to me to have you subscribe. You can do that by clicking on the link here, and don't forget to click the bell notification icon so you get notified of all my future uploads. See you soon.